I was surprised when he walked into the house, the heaviness of loss settling in my chest like a stone. Just months after my husband's passing, I felt like a ghost haunting the remnants of a life filled with love and laughter. Every corner whispered his name, and the faint scent of his cologne lingered, a bittersweet reminder of the warmth I once took for granted. As I sat in the living room, clutching a photo of our wedding day, I tried to find solace in those memories, but they only deepened my sorrow. Then Clara arrived, my son's wife with her usual polite smile. But today, there was a tension in the air that made my skin crawl. She wasted no time with pleasantries, her voice sharp and unyielding. "I need to talk to you about the house," she said, her words slicing through the air. "We need you to move out." I felt a rush of disbelief flood through me. Did she really think she could just evict me from the home I had shared with my husband for decades? "Evict me," I echoed, trying to mask the tremor in my voice. "Clara, this was our home, my home." She crossed her arms, her expression hardening. "It's not yours anymore. Not after what happened. It's time for you to let go." Let go? The very idea felt like a betrayal, not just to my husband's memory, but to everything we had built together. I searched Clara's face for a hint of compassion, but all I saw was determination. What had driven her to this? "I can't just pack up and leave," I said, my voice rising with a mix of anger and despair. "Where would I go? This is where I belong. You can stay with us for a while, but you need to understand that this house is part of a new chapter for our family," Clara replied, her words dripping with a sense of finality. "It's time for you to move on." I wanted to scream, to shake her, and demand she feel the weight of my grief. Instead, I took a deep breath, trying to ground myself in the reality of the moment. How did it come to this? My heart ached, not just for my husband, but for the family ties unraveling before my eyes. "Clara," I said softly, searching for the right words, "do you really think this is what he would have wanted?" For a brief moment, uncertainty flickered in her eyes, but then she shook her head, her resolve returning. "It's not about what he wanted anymore. It's about what's best for us now." Best for us? I felt a swell of anger rise within me, mingled with a deep sadness. I had always treated Clara like my own daughter, welcoming her into our family with open arms. Yet here she was, poised to erase all that love in a single stroke. "You don't understand what this place means to me," I said, my voice cracking. "This house holds every memory, every laugh, every tear we shared. And I'm sorry for your loss," she replied, her tone flat. "But we need a fresh start, and you have to let go of the past." As I looked into her eyes, I realized there was more at play than just a simple eviction. This wasn't just about the house. It was about legacy, about the memories I clung to fiercely, while she seemed intent on moving forward without me. I couldn't help but wonder what had twisted her heart to the point where she could so easily dismiss the love that had once bound us. Before I could respond, she turned on her heel, leaving me alone in the room that felt more like a prison with each passing moment. I sank into the couch, the weight of her words pressing down on me. What could I do? It was a question that lingered in the air, filling the silence with its haunting echoes. I had to find a way to protect what was mine, to unveil whatever secret fueled Clara's urgency. As I clutched the photo tighter, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was just beginning to uncover a truth that would change everything. Before I could delve deeper into that thought, I felt a small flicker of hope. Perhaps the strength I needed was buried within me, waiting for the right moment to rise. Before I could explore that feeling further, I remembered the audience awaiting my story. Tell me where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. As Clara's words hung in the air, I felt my past wash over me like a tidal wave. The life my husband and I built together echoed in my mind. The laughter we shared, the struggles we overcame. I thought of our dreams, our hopes for this house. Wasn't it a testament to our love? Anger bubbled up within me, but beneath it lay a profound sadness. I tried to see Clara's perspective, understanding that she was grieving too. Yet, her approach felt cold and calculating, as if she were erasing the very essence of what we had created. Why was she pushing me out? This question gnawed at me. I needed to confront her, to dig deeper into her motivations. As I reflected, I realized that beneath the surface of our conflict lay unresolved emotions from both sides. The memory of my husband's kindness reminded me that compassion could be a powerful tool in this battle, a weapon more potent than anger. I resolved to find common ground, if it existed. How could I confront Clara without pushing her further away? It was a delicate dance, one that required careful thought and deep empathy. I envisioned our conversations, the pauses where hurt lingered, and the words that could either bridge the gap or widen it. My heart ached as I remembered the way my husband would hold my hand, reassuring me during our hardest times. He believed in love that could conquer all, and I wondered if that love could reach Clara. Perhaps she was not the enemy I perceived her to be, but rather a woman lost in her own grief, struggling to find her footing in a world that felt suddenly unfamiliar. As I prepared to speak with her, I recalled the moments we shared, how she'd laugh at my silly stories and how, in quieter times, we'd sit side by side, sipping tea while watching the sunset paint the sky. Those memories felt distant, now overshadowed by the looming threat of eviction, but I longed to reconnect, to remind her of the bond we once shared. Clara, I would say, I know you're hurting. We both are. Can we talk? I hoped my words would find a way through the walls she had built around her heart. I wanted to understand her fears, her desires. Perhaps we could transform this conflict into an opportunity for healing. Yet doubt tugged at me. Would she hear me? Or would my attempt at reconciliation only deepen her resentment? I couldn't ignore the feeling that my presence in this house was now a point of contention, a symbol of a life she wanted to reset. What if I was standing in the way of her healing? In the silence that followed my thoughts, the house felt heavy with memories. Each room whispered stories of laughter and love, but also of loss. I could almost hear my husband's voice, reminding me that family is forged not just through blood but through shared experiences and the willingness to understand one another. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of my emotions. I needed to approach this situation with grace and resilience. I thought of the legacy my husband left behind, not just in the walls of this house, but in the compassion we showed to others, even when facing adversity. Clara, I would say, again, let's remember what brought us together in the first place. Let's honor his memory. Perhaps if I could evoke that shared history, we could find a way forward. Perhaps we could transform this moment of conflict into one of hope. I could feel my heart racing as I thought about the conversation ahead. Would Clara see me as an ally instead of an adversary? Or would my words fall flat, lost in the turmoil of her grief? I resolved to speak from my heart, to let her know that I understood her pain, and that I would not let our past crumble under the weight of our present struggles. As I prepared to confront Clara, I reminded myself that compassion is a powerful force. It can bridge divides, heal wounds, and sometimes it can even transform enemies into allies. I just had to take that first step, to reach out and offer her a hand instead of a fight. I gathered my courage, feeling the weight of my husband's spirit guiding me as I drew closer to Clara. The air felt thick with unspoken words, and I took a deep breath, choosing my words carefully. "Clara," I began, my voice softer than I intended. "This house, it's more than just walls and a roof. It was built on love and sacrifice. Every corner holds a memory of your father, our laughter, our struggles." I watched her closely, noting the way her expression shifted from defensive to contemplative. There was a flicker of vulnerability in her eyes, a glimpse of the young woman beneath the armor she had put on. "I know you're hurting," I continued, "and I can't imagine the weight of what you're feeling right now. Losing him was hard for all of us, but I want you to know that this home still holds his spirit. Our spirit, silence enveloped. Us, the walls echoing our unspoken feelings." I could sense the conflict within her. Clara was caught between her grief for my husband and her desire for a new beginning, a fresh chapter in her life. I felt a pang of sadness for her, an ache that mirrored my own. After a moment that felt like an eternity, I decided to ask her about her life. "What about you, Clara? What are your dreams?" I leaned forward in my chair, hoping to bridge the chasm growing between us. "What do you fear? I want to understand what drives you." Her eyes flickered with surprise at my question, as if no one had taken the time to genuinely ask her before. I don't know," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "I thought I wanted to move on, to start fresh, but now everything just feels wrong." I nodded, feeling the weight of her words. Change is never easy, especially when it comes wrapped in loss. But this house, it's a testament to your father's love. It's a part of who you are, just as it is a part of me. We both have our memories tied to these walls. Clara remained silent, her gaze drifting to the family photographs lining the mantel. Each picture told a story of laughter, joy, and love. The very essence of what we had built together. I could see her wrestling with her emotions, the walls she had erected starting to show signs of crumbling. "You know," I said gently, "your father always believed in the power of family. He cherished every moment we spent together, no matter how small. I think he would want us to find a way to honor that." As I spoke, I could feel the tension in the room shift. It was as if the air had thickened with shared understanding, and I could see Clara grappling with her own grief, her defenses starting to falter. "I just want to do what's best for myself," she finally admitted, her voice trembling. "And what does that look like?" I pressed, my heart aching for her as I searched her face for answers. "What does best mean for you?" She hesitated, her brow furrowing in thought. "It means freedom, I guess. But at what cost? I don't want to lose my connections, but I also feel trapped here." I felt the weight of her words settle between us like a fragile truce. "You're not trapped, Clara. You're just at a crossroads. We both are. We can choose to let this house tear us apart, or we can use it to heal." In that moment, I saw a flicker of hope in her eyes, a glimmer that perhaps our shared grief could lead us to a place of understanding rather than division. We sat in silence, the echoes of the past mingling with the possibility of a different future. "Can we try?" Clara finally asked, her voice tentative but filled with yearning. "Can we try to understand each other?" I nodded slowly, feeling the warmth of her words. "Yes, Clara, let's try. Together." As we sat there, two women bound by love and loss, I felt a sense of transformation begin to blossom between us, a fragile yet undeniable thread of connection that could mend the rift instead of widening it. I was surprised when Clara began to open up. The air between us shifted, heavy with the weight of unspoken words. I could see the pain etched on her face, revealing a life far from perfect. "I lost my job last year," she said, her voice quivering slightly. "It was like the ground disappeared beneath me. I never thought I'd be in this position, struggling just to make ends meet." As she spoke, I felt a knot form in my stomach. I couldn't help but think about my own struggles. "I understand," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. "After my husband passed, I felt like I was drowning in memories. Everything in this house reminds me of him, and I don't know how to move forward." Clara's eyes softened, and for a moment the animosity between us faded. "It's hard, isn't it? Feeling overshadowed by someone else's legacy," she said, her gaze dropping to the floor. "I always felt like I was just living in his shadow, even before he died." The room seemed to shrink as I contemplated her words. I realized her desire to evict me wasn't just about the house. It was about reclaiming her identity, finding her own space in the world. "You're not just defined by your husband's achievements, Clara. You have your own dreams and aspirations," I encouraged, my heart swelling with empathy. She looked up, surprised by my understanding. "But what if I fail? What if I fail?" I thought, the words echoing in my mind. "I think we both feel lost without them," I admitted, my voice trembling. "But maybe we can honor their memory together, instead of fighting over what they left behind. Perhaps we can create something new." A flicker of hope ignited between us, bridging the chasm of resentment. "You really think so?" she asked, her eyes glimmering with uncertainty. "I do. We can find a way to celebrate their lives and move forward. Maybe even create a space that feels like home for both of us." For the first time, I saw uncertainty give way to something more hopeful in her expression. "What do you have in mind?" I paused, a plan beginning to form in my mind. What if we turned the backyard into a garden? My husband always wanted to create a space for family gatherings. We could invite the neighbors, share stories, and remember them together. Clara smiled, a genuine smile that lit up her face. "I'd like that, but there's something I've been keeping from you." I felt my heart race. What was she hiding? "What is it, Clara? She hesitated, her breath hitching as if the weight of her secret was too much to bear. "I found something in your husband's things after he passed, something that might change everything." My stomach dropped at her words. "What do you mean?" I pressed, my curiosity piqued. She took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. "It's about a letter he wrote, a letter that speaks to both of us. I was going to tell you, but I didn't know how." I felt a chill run down my spine. "A letter? What did it say?" Clara's expression shifted, a mix of fear and resolve. It could help us understand our place in his life, and maybe even in each other's lives. "Please, Clara, what does it say?" I urged, an urgency building inside me. She hesitated, glancing around as if the walls themselves were listening. "I'll show you, but you have to promise me something first." "Anything. Promise me we'll approach this together. No more fighting, just understanding." "I promise," I said, feeling a bond form between us, a fragile yet powerful connection. As she reached for a box tucked away in the corner, my mind raced. What had my husband written that could change everything? This was more than just a revelation. It was a turning point, and as Clara finally pulled out the letter, I felt a surge of anticipation mixed with dread. What secrets lay within those words, and would they truly redefine our relationship? I felt an unsettling shift in the air as days passed, following my husband's passing. Clara, my son's wife, seemed increasingly distant, lost in her thoughts as if she were a ship adrift on a vast, stormy ocean. One afternoon, as I rummaged through the old oak drawer in my husband's desk, I stumbled upon a letter that made my heart race. It was addressed to him, hidden away like a secret too heavy to bear. The words on the page unraveled a tapestry of financial troubles, debts Clara had accrued without my husband's knowledge. My hands trembled as I pieced together the puzzle of her life, a life that now felt like a fragile glass ornament, one nudge away from shattering. Clara's eviction notice, I realized, wasn't just a selfish act. It was born from desperation, a need to escape a life that had become a cage, bars forged by her own choices. Could I blame her? I thought, remembering my own struggles, my own moments of feeling trapped. It was as if I were looking into a mirror reflecting not just her image, but the shadows of my past as well. I felt a tightness in my chest as I considered my next move. I held the power to expose her truth, to confront her, and demand answers. But what would that achieve? Would it only deepen the rift between us? A chasm that had already widened with my husband's absence? I took a deep breath, letting the air fill my lungs. My husband's memory was a guide, a whisper in the back of my mind urging me toward compassion rather than conflict. I could feel his presence, a gentle reminder of the love we shared, a love built on understanding and support. How could I help Clara without losing myself in the process? I had spent years nurturing my own resilience, learning that sometimes the bravest thing is to choose empathy over judgment. Perhaps this was my moment to extend that lesson, to offer a lifeline rather than a confrontation. But how? How could I reach out to her, to show her that we could navigate this storm together? As I sorted through my thoughts, I could almost hear Clara's laughter, the way it echoed through our family gatherings, brightening even the darkest days. I remembered the warmth of her presence, the way she cared for my son, how she had become a part of our lives. Was it possible that beneath her hardened exterior lay a woman struggling to regain her footing? I decided it was time to confront her. Not with accusations, but with understanding. I envisioned a conversation, one that would peel back the layers of her distress and reveal the woman beneath the burden. But first, I needed to prepare myself for the truth, whatever that might entail. Later that evening, I found Clara sitting alone on the porch, her gaze lost in the distance. The golden hues of sunset wrapped around her, casting an almost ethereal glow that made her seem both vulnerable and strong. I hesitated for a moment, taking in the sight of her, a woman caught in a storm of her own making. "Clara," I began softly, my voice steady despite the anxiety fluttering in my stomach. "Can we talk?" Her eyes flickered toward me, a mix of surprise and apprehension crossing her face. "About what?" she asked, her tone guarded. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the letter in my pocket, a secret waiting to be revealed. "I found something today. A letter addressed to my husband. It spoke of troubles you've been facing." Clara stiffened, her body language shifting as if I had struck a nerve. "That's not your concern. It's between me and your son." "No, Clara," I replied, firm yet gentle. It is my concern because you are family. I want to understand. I want to help." She looked away, her defenses rising like a fortress wall. "Help? Do you even know what you're asking? I can't take charity. I don't need pity." "It's not pity," I insisted, feeling a spark of frustration. "It's compassion. We can't face these challenges alone. We are stronger together." A silence stretched between us, heavy with unspoken truths. I could see the conflict in her eyes, a battle between vulnerability and pride. My heart ached for her, for the pain that had led her to this moment. "Clara," I said softly, "I know you feel trapped, but you don't have to face this alone. I lost my husband, and I'm still learning how to navigate this new world. We can help each other." For the first time, I saw a glimmer of something in her eyes. Hope, perhaps, or the faintest hint of surrender. Could this be the start of something new? The world around us faded, leaving only the two of us, bound by shared grief and the potential for understanding. In that moment, I realized that our journey had only just begun, and perhaps, just perhaps, we could heal together. I had spent the last few weeks navigating an emotional maze, piecing together the remnants of my life after my husband's passing. When Clara first confronted me about the house, my heart sank. I felt the walls closing in, as if this home, the one filled with memories of love, laughter, and warmth, was being pulled from under me. But I knew I had to find a way to bridge the gap between us, not just for myself, but for her too. Determined to help Clara, I devised a plan that would allow both of us to reclaim our lives while honoring my husband's legacy. I decided to confront her again, this time with empathy, and I invited her to sit down. The letter I found in my husband's desk felt like a lifeline, its words echoing the values he held dear, a reminder of the compassion we both needed now. "Clara," I said, holding the letter gently in my hands, "I think we need to talk." Her eyes flickered with uncertainty, but I needed to push forward. "I found something that I believe can help us both." As I shared my discovery, I watched her face drain of color. The weight of her burden seemed to press down even heavier on her shoulders. "I understand what you're going through. I've lost my partner, my love, my help." She looked away, grappling with the emotions that surfaced. "What do you want from me?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I want to help us both," I replied earnestly. "This house, it holds so much of our past, but it's also become a source of pain. We can face the financial issues together. I'm not here to take anything from you. I want us to work together. We can find a solution." Clara's initial resistance slowly melted away as she began to see the truth in my words. I could sense a shift in the air, a tentative step toward something new. "What do you suggest?" she asked, her voice steadier now. "What if we sold the house?" I proposed, feeling the gravity of my suggestion. "We could split the proceeds. It could free us both from the weight of this place and give us a chance to start fresh." She hesitated, her brow furrowed. "But this house, it was his. It's all I have left of him. And it's all I have too," I reminded her gently. "But holding on to it like this is only bringing us pain. Maybe it's time to honor his memory in a different way. We can create new legacies, new memories." As those words hung in the air, I saw a flicker of understanding cross her face. "You really want to help me?" "I do. You're not alone in this. We're both grieving, Clara. We both have lost so much. But together, we can find a way through this. We can reclaim our lives." There was a moment of silence as she processed my offer. I could feel the tension beginning to ease. The walls that had risen between us were slowly starting to crumble, revealing the possibility of a partnership rather than a confrontation. "I'm scared," she finally admitted, her voice trembling. "I don't know how to move forward." I reached out, placing my hand over hers, a small gesture of solidarity. "Neither do I, but I believe if we can face this together, we can find a way. We can honor his legacy by supporting each other." In that moment, I realized something profound. This wasn't just about the house or the money. It was about healing. Both of us had lost someone we loved, and we needed to find a way to support each other in our shared grief. Could this be the beginning of a new chapter for both of us? I hoped so, for ourselves and for the memories we cherished. I never imagined that my life could take such a turn. After my husband passed, I was enveloped in a fog of grief, a shadow lingering over the house we built together. Just when I thought I'd lost everything, Clara walked into my life, and I found myself surprised at how our relationship began to unfold. At first, I saw her as a threat, the woman who tried to push me out of my own home. But as we worked together, a different picture emerged. Clara and I began to form an unexpected bond. Our days transformed into a tapestry of discussions about finances, memories of my husband, and the shared goals that somehow connected us. I introduced her to budgeting techniques, sharing the wisdom I had gleaned from years of managing a household. "Have you ever thought about how much you spend on coffee each month?" I asked her one afternoon, watching as she meticulously painted a canvas depicting the garden. She paused, brush in hand, a quizzical look crossing her face. "Not really. I just grab it on the way to work. Why?" "It adds up, you know. Little expenses can be sneaky," I replied, smiling. "Maybe we could set a budget for those indulgences." She laughed, a sound that felt foreign yet refreshing, in the house that had grown too quiet. "I suppose I could learn a thing or two from you. But what about you? Do you really think budgeting is enough to fill this house with joy again?" Her question struck me. "It's not just about the numbers, Clara. It's about creating a life we love, even if it looks different than what we expected." As the weeks passed, we shared more than just financial tips. We began to explore each other's worlds. I'd share stories of my husband, his laughter filling the room like a warm embrace, while Clara unveiled her artistic talents. She invited me to join her in small projects around the house, painting, crafting, and even rearranging furniture to breathe new life into the space. One afternoon, as we painted a faded old chair, a bright turquoise, I noticed Clara's gaze drift towards the window, her expression clouding with something unspoken. "What is it, Clara? You seem distant today." She hesitated as if weighing her words, then finally said, "I guess I'm just wondering if I'll ever feel at home, here. I've been so caught up in what's happening that I've forgotten what it means to truly belong." I felt a pang in my chest. Belonging takes time. We're both on this journey. The memories we create here can be just as meaningful as the ones we've lost. As we worked side by side, laughter filled the spaces once shadowed by sadness. I felt a renewed spirit, a spark of purpose igniting within me. Together, we transformed the house into a canvas of new memories, honoring the past while embracing the present. Yet beneath Clara's vibrant exterior, I sensed something deeper, a hesitation, a fear. I needed to encourage her to fully embrace this transformation. "What else are you hiding beneath the surface?" I asked gently one evening, as we sat amidst our creations. She looked at me, vulnerability flickering in her eyes. "I guess I'm just scared of what comes next. I've been so focused on surviving that I forgot how to live." Her admission struck a chord within me. We can't let fear dictate our lives. We owe it to ourselves to find joy again, no matter how daunting that journey may seem. In that moment, I realized this journey was about more than just the house. It was about rebuilding our lives together, finding solace in shared experiences, and ultimately, rediscovering joy. With every brushstroke, every laugh, and every tear, we were crafting a new legacy, one that honored our pasts while forging a hopeful future. As we continued to create, I couldn't help but wonder what other secrets Clara held, what stories lay trapped beneath her surface. Would she find the courage to share them? I never expected that going through old belongings could unearth so much more than just dust and memories. It was a chilly evening, and Clara and I had decided to tackle the attic, a place cluttered with remnants of my husband's life. As we sorted through boxes, I noticed her pause, her fingers trembling slightly as they hovered over a dusty cardboard box. "Is everything all right, Clara?" I asked, hoping to ease the tension that wrapped around her like a heavy blanket. She bit her lip, her eyes darting between the box and me, as if weighing her own thoughts against the weight of the past it contained. "It's just... these are his old business documents." I thought I had put all of this behind me. She finally confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. I stepped closer, sensing her internal struggle. "You don't have to go through it alone. Would you like to talk about it?" Clara took a deep breath, her shoulders slumping slightly. "I don't know. I always felt so inadequate around him, like no matter how hard I tried, I just could never meet his expectations. It gnaws at me sometimes, you know." I nodded, a pang of empathy striking me. "I understand more than you think. After he passed, I felt lost, like I was forever chasing a shadow. I still do sometimes. It's as if I'm trying to live up to his memory while grappling with my own insecurities." Her gaze met mine, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of relief. "You really feel that way?" she asked, her voice thick with vulnerability. "Absolutely," I said, a small smile forming. "Every day, I wrestle with my own ghosts. It's okay to feel that way, Clara. Life is messy, and none of us have it all figured out." I watched as her expression softened, the tension in her body beginning to dissipate. "You know, I always thought I was alone in this, like I was the only one who couldn't measure up. No one has it all together," I replied gently. "We all have our demons, and facing them can feel daunting. But we don't have to do it alone. Together we can find a way through." Clara nodded, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "Thank you for saying that. It's just, with your husband's legacy looming over me, it's hard to breathe sometimes." I reached out and placed my hand on her shoulder, a gesture of solidarity. His legacy is a part of us, but it shouldn't define us. We have our own paths to carve out. Finding peace with our past is a journey we can take together. As we continued to sift through the box, I could sense the atmosphere shifting. The weight of our shared insecurities began to lift, replaced by a budding understanding. Each document we uncovered felt less like a burden and more like a bridge connecting our experiences. "Do you think we'll ever feel free from all of this?" she asked suddenly, her voice tinged with both hope and fear. "I believe so," I replied, my heart full of conviction. Freedom comes not just from letting go, but from embracing who we are, flaws and all. It's about allowing ourselves to heal, to grow. We owe it to ourselves to find that liberation. There was a moment of quiet, the kind that felt sacred, as we both contemplated our words. In that silence, I felt a deepening bond with Clara, one that transcended the past and reached toward a shared future. In that attic, surrounded by memories, we took the first steps on a path of healing, not just for ourselves, but for each other. And as I looked at her, I realized that perhaps in unearthing our vulnerabilities, we were also unearthing the strength to confront the challenges that lay ahead. As Clara and I continued to confront our fears, I noticed a shift in her perspective. It was subtle at first, like the soft glow of dawn breaking through the darkness. She began to approach life with a newfound resilience, her spirit lifting like a kite caught in an updraft. I felt a sense of pride in her growth, witnessing the transformation that was taking place before my eyes. We started to explore new opportunities together. I remember the first community event we attended. It was a small art show in the town square. The vibrant colors of the paintings seemed to mirror Clara's blossoming creativity. She walked with a lightness in her step, her eyes sparkling with excitement as she engaged with other artists and attendees. Each conversation was a thread, weaving her into the fabric of the community we had both longed to be a part of. "Look at this one," she said, pointing to a canvas splashed with bold reds and yellows. "It almost feels alive, doesn't it?" I nodded, feeling her enthusiasm wrap around me like a warm blanket. "It does. It reminds me of the sunsets we used to watch together." Her eyes sparkled with recognition. "Those were the best evenings. We should create something together, just like that." And so began a series of weekends filled with laughter, paint, and discovery. Clara's creative energy flourished, and with each brushstroke I felt invigorated by her passion. It was as if she was painting not just on canvas, but on the very fabric of our lives. I realized our journey together was not solely about healing, but also about redefining ourselves in the wake of loss. One afternoon, while we were volunteering, at a local shelter, Clara paused, her gaze drifting to the people around us. "Why don't we host an art fundraiser?" she proposed suddenly, her voice tinged with excitement. "We could support those in need and bring the community together." Her idea lit a spark in me, igniting a fire of purpose I hadn't felt in years. "That's a wonderful idea, Clara. It could honor your husband's legacy while helping others." She beamed at me, her expression a mixture of gratitude and determination. "Let's do it then. We can reach out to local artists and businesses for support. Together we can make a difference." As we began to plan the event, I felt a deep sense of purpose wash over me. I was no longer just a spectator in my own life. I was an active participant, a creator of change. The fundraiser became a shared mission, a tapestry woven with our hopes and dreams, and the memories of those we had lost. Every brainstorming session brought us closer, each idea exchanged filled with laughter and hope. People in our community began to rally around us, offering their talents and resources. Clara's infectious optimism drew others in. It was beautiful to see how her joy spread like ripples in a pond, affecting everyone around her. One afternoon, as we sat surrounded by art supplies and sketches, I looked at her and said, "You've come so far, Clara. I'm proud of you. You're not just my son's wife. You're becoming a leader in this community." Her face flushed with a mix of humility and pride. "I couldn't have done it without you. You've shown me what it means to keep moving forward, even in the darkest moments." In those moments, I understood. Grief was not just about loss. It was about finding a way to carry the love we had shared into the future. Together we were transforming our pain into something beautiful, something that could help others heal. As we prepared for the fundraiser, I felt a sense of excitement and trepidation. Could this event really become a turning point for both of us? The stakes were high, but so was the potential for growth. The thought of honoring my husband's memory while supporting those in need filled me with hope. And in that hope I found a new beginning, a chance to redefine what it meant to live fully and to love fiercely, even in the shadow of loss. The night of the fundraiser arrived, and the air buzzed with an electric mix of anticipation and hope. As I stepped into the community hall, the warmth of familiar faces welcomed me, wrapping around me like a comforting shawl. I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the support we received. Friends, neighbors, and even strangers all gathered to honor my late husband's spirit and the cause that had become our shared mission. Clara's artwork was displayed prominently, each piece a reflection of her journey and growth. I marveled at how her confidence radiated as she interacted with guests, her laughter mingling with the gentle hum of conversation. It struck me then. We had transformed not just our relationship, but also our individual identities. We were no longer defined by loss alone. We were becoming who we were meant to be, together. As the evening unfolded, I took a moment to step away from the crowd, allowing myself to absorb the scene. The walls, adorned with Clara's vibrant canvases, seemed to echo the stories of resilience and hope. I could almost hear my husband's laughter mingling with the music, his presence lingering in the atmosphere. This night was more than just a fundraiser. It was a tribute to his love for this community, a community he had poured his heart into for so many years. It was time for my speech. I took a deep breath, stepping up to the podium, the spotlight warm against my skin. As I looked out at the sea of faces, I felt a wave of emotion wash over me. Thank you all for being here tonight, I began, my voice trembling slightly. As many of you know, my husband was a man of great compassion. He believed in the power of community, in the strength we find in one another during our darkest times. Telling and preparing this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. I paused, letting the weight of my words settle. Tonight is a celebration of his spirit, and every donation will help provide shelter for those in need. We are not just raising funds. We are creating a legacy of love and support that my husband would be proud of. A soft murmur of agreement rippled through the audience, and I felt Clara's presence beside me as she joined me on stage. Her eyes glistened with tears of joy and pride, reflecting the emotions swirling within me. Together we raised our hands, signaling the beginning of our fundraising effort. As the contributions started pouring in, I felt a rush of hope. But amidst the joy, I couldn't shake the feeling that there were still unresolved issues between us. Clara had endured so much, and I sensed the weight of her burden still clinging. To her, the journey we were on was only beginning. As the night progressed, the energy in the room became palpable. People were laughing, sharing stories, and connecting with one another. I felt a sense of belonging, a reminder that we were all in this together. Yet my heart tugged with uncertainty. What more lay ahead for Clara and me? What challenges would test our newfound bond? Mom, Clara said softly, pulling me from my thoughts. Look at all of this. She gestured to the bustling room, her excitement contagious. Can you believe how far we've come? I smiled, but my heart ached with the weight of unspoken words. I can, Clara, but I'm still worried. This isn't just about tonight. It's about us and what we need to face together. She nodded, understanding the gravity of my words. I know, and I want to talk, really talk about everything. that's happened. But tonight let's celebrate. We've made it this far. As the evening wore on, I watched Clara interact with the guests, her laughter ringing like music in the air. I felt proud of her and grateful for the bond we were forging. Yet deep inside, I knew the conversation we needed to have loomed ahead, and as I looked around the room, filled with love and support, I realized something profound. Our journey of healing was becoming a legacy in itself. This event marked a turning point, but I understood that the most important work was yet to come. I took a deep breath as I sat in the garden, the sun warming my skin and the scent of blooming flowers enveloping me. Just a few days before, we had gathered for the fundraiser, an event that felt like a turning point for both Clara and me. The laughter and camaraderie had been healing, but now, in this tranquil moment, I realized how much deeper our journey had to go. "Clara," I said softly, glancing at her as she turned her gaze toward the vibrant petals swaying in the gentle breeze. "Can we talk about everything that's happened? I feel like we've come so far, but there's still something weighing you down." She hesitated, her expression a mix of gratitude and uncertainty. "I know we've made progress, but I still feel trapped by my past. Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever truly be free." I nodded, understanding her struggle. "It's understandable, my dear. But to move forward, you must face those shadows. What happened before doesn't define you. It's what you choose to do now that matters." Clara sighed, her shoulders slumping slightly. "I thought I could just bury it all away, that it would fade with time, but it hasn't. It's like a ghost that lingers, haunting me." I leaned closer, the warmth of the sun mingling with the warmth in my heart. "You're not alone in this. I've faced my share of ghosts too. Remember when I found those old letters from my husband? Reading them was painful, but it also helped me find closure. Sometimes confronting our memories is the only way to truly let them go." Clara looked thoughtful, her brow furrowing. "But what if confronting them only brings more pain? What if I can't handle it?" I reached out, placing my hand on hers. "It might hurt, yes, but think of it as shedding layers. You can't grow new skin without first letting go of the old. It's time to unburden yourself, Clara. You deserve to live fully, without the weight of your past dragging you down." A tear glimmered in her eye. "You make it sound so easy." I smiled gently. "It's not easy, but it is essential. Every step toward healing is worth the effort. You have so much strength within you. You just need to trust it." Clara looked at me, the conflict in her eyes slowly shifting from doubt to determination. "I want to try. I want to let it go. But I'm scared." "Scared is okay," I assured her. "You don't have to do it alone. We'll face it together, one step at a time. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about your past?" She paused, her fingers fidgeting with the edge of her sleeve. "My father. He was hard on me, always pushing me to be perfect, to meet expectations." I could see the pain etched on her face as she spoke. "That sounds heavy. How did that make you feel?" "Like I was never enough," she admitted, her voice trembling. "No matter what I accomplished, it was never celebrated. Just more pressure to do better." I squeezed her hand, feeling the urgency of this moment. "Clara, you need to recognize that you are enough, just as you are. Your worth isn't tied to anyone else's expectations. It's time to release that burden. You don't owe anyone a perfect version of yourself." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "But what if I don't know how to start?" Start by forgiving yourself, I said firmly. Forgive that little girl who felt she had to earn love through perfection. She deserves to be free just like you do. Clara took a shaky breath, a flicker of resolve igniting in her gaze. I want to forgive her. I really do. Then let's take that first step together, I encouraged. We can write a letter to that little girl, letting her know she's loved just as she is. It's a start. As Clara nodded, a sense of hope filled the air around us. I realized then that healing isn't a straight path. It's a winding road filled with reflections, realizations, and the courage to face our truths. Together we would find our way forward. I took a deep breath, the weight of the moment pressing down on me like a heavy blanket. Clara and I sat, together, the silence between us thick with unspoken words. I could feel the tension radiating from her, the conflict she had been carrying for so long. I finally broke the silence. Clara, I began gently. I know this has been hard for you. Losing him. Losing my husband. It's changed everything for both of us. She looked at me, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. I feel like I'm drowning, like I'm constantly in his shadow. I don't know how to be myself anymore. I moved a little closer, my heart aching for her. You are more than just his wife, Clara. You have your own identity, your own worth. My husband wouldn't want you to carry this burden. He believed in forgiveness, in letting go of the past. Her breath hitched as the truth of my words settled in. But how can I forgive myself? I made so many mistakes. I hurt him. I hurt you, she whispered, her voice cracking under the weight of guilt. I reached out, placing my hand over hers, feeling the warmth of her skin beneath my palm. We all make mistakes, Clara. It's part of being human. But holding on to that pain doesn't honor his memory. It keeps you from living fully. A thrust streamed down her face, and I felt my own heart begin to crack open, the shared pain knitting us together in that moment. What if I can't? She sobbed. What if I'm not strong enough? You are stronger than you know, I assured her, my voice steady. You've faced so much already. You just need to believe in yourself like he believed in you. Honor his memory by living authentically, by embracing who you are. Clara met my gaze, and in that instant I could see the flicker of hope beginning to ignite within her. You really think he would want that for me? I nodded, feeling the warmth of conviction swell inside me. Absolutely. He loved you, Clara. He saw the best in you. And I believe he would want you to forgive yourself, to let go of the past, and step into your future. The tears continued to flow, but now they felt like a release rather than a weight. I want to honor him, she said, her voice steadier. I want to live without the shadow of doubt. I squeezed her hand tighter, a silent promise forming between us. Then let's do it together. We'll support each other, through thick and thin. No more adversaries. Let's be allies. We can create a new path, one that celebrates him and allows us both to become who we're meant to be. Clara's eyes sparkled with newfound determination, and I felt a profound relief wash over me. It was as if years of pent-up emotions had finally found their release. Together we made that pact, a bond formed not through shared grievances, but through empathy and understanding. As I looked into Clara's eyes, I felt a mix of trepidation and excitement. What did the future hold for us? Could we truly forge this new path together? In that moment, I realized we weren't just two women connected by loss. We were two souls ready to embrace the transformative power of our shared journey. the road. Ahead wouldn't be easy, but we were no longer alone, and somehow that made the weight of the past feel a little lighter. I was surprised when Clara and I found ourselves sitting together in what was once a battleground of grief. The walls that had echoed with arguments and resentment now felt different, lighter. We had decided to transform our home into something meaningful, a sanctuary for art and healing. I could almost hear my husband's laughter in the background, guiding us as we painted over the old memories, layering them with fresh colors and new intentions. "Do you think people will really come?" Clara asked, her voice a mix of hope and uncertainty, as she dipped her brush into the vibrant paint. I smiled, feeling a warmth bloom in my chest. "They will. People need this. They need a place to heal, to create, to remember." As we painted, I watched Clara's spirit shine brighter. She was no longer just my son's wife. She was my partner in this endeavor, and together we envisioned a future filled with purpose. With every stroke, I could feel the weight of the past lifting. The laughter we shared during those days of preparation was like a balm, soothing wounds I didn't know were still open. Clara's enthusiasm was infectious as she suggested workshops for painting and writing, healing circles, and maybe even some music nights. "Imagine the stories we could share," she said, her eyes sparkling. "The connections we'll create." I nodded, lost in thought. Each idea was a reflection of our own journeys through grief, how we had stumbled, fell, and found the strength to rise again. "We can even have a corner dedicated to your art, Clara. Your paintings have so much emotion. They deserve to be seen." She blushed, her modesty still intact despite her talent. "I don't know. I just paint what I feel." "That's exactly it," I replied. "What you feel matters. It inspires others." The more we talked, the more I realized how our struggles had forged a beautiful partnership. Clara was becoming a part of my life in a way I never imagined possible. We were no longer adversaries. We were allies, united by our love for the man who had once brought us together. As we opened our doors to the community, I felt a mix of anticipation and fear. Would they accept us? Would they see the love behind our intentions? I remembered the fear I felt when Clara first tried to evict me, how my heart shattered at the thought of losing my home. But now, that same space was transforming into a refuge for others. The first day was a whirlwind of emotions. We decorated the space with flowers and art, setting up chairs in a circle, inviting people to share their stories. As the sun streamed through the windows, illuminating the room, I felt my husband's presence guiding us. "Look at this place," I said, my voice trembling with emotion. "It's beautiful," Clara nodded, her eyes misty. "It feels like a fresh start." I was filled with gratitude. I had come to realize that life's trials had shaped not just who I was, but who I was becoming. This community space wasn't just a tribute to my husband's legacy. It was a reflection of our resilience, a testament to the bond we had formed through our shared pain. As the first guests began to arrive, I couldn't help but wonder how our new chapter would unfold. Would we be able to help others heal as we had? Would we find solace in each other's company and in the stories that would fill our home? A new beginning was blossoming, one filled with love, compassion, and hope. And as I greeted each person with a warm smile, I felt a sense of belonging that I had thought lost forever. What if this was just the beginning of something extraordinary? As the weeks turned into months, I watched our community space flourish. The walls that had once echoed with silence now vibrated with laughter and creativity. We hosted events, art classes, and support groups, each gathering a thread weaving a tapestry of love and healing. Clara and I worked side by side, forming deep connections with everyone who walked through our doors. I could feel my husband's spirit living on through our efforts, as if he were smiling down on us. One afternoon, a young woman approached me, her eyes brimming with gratitude. "I don't know how to thank you," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "This place has helped me cope with my loss. I felt so alone, but here, I found hope." Her words resonated deeply within me, affirming that what we were doing mattered. I turned to Clara, and we exchanged knowing smiles. This was exactly what we had hoped for. In that moment, I reflected on how our journey had transformed us both. We had started as adversaries, each carrying our burdens of grief and misunderstanding. Yet here we stood, united in our purpose, from grief to growth. I felt a profound sense of belonging, not just to Clara, but to this community we had nurtured together. As I gazed out at the vibrant space, I wondered how far our legacy could reach. What impact could we continue to make? The questions stirred within me, igniting a flicker of determination. I had always believed that legacy wasn't just about what we leave behind. It's about what we create in the present. I wanted to ensure our work could continue long after we were gone. "Do you think we're making a difference?" I asked Clara, my voice soft but earnest. The thought of our impact felt both exhilarating and daunting. "Absolutely," she replied, her eyes sparkling with conviction. "Every story shared, every heart healed. This is our legacy, and it's just the beginning." Her words wrapped around me like a warm embrace, filling me with reassurance. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over our community space, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I knew that these connections we were fostering were not just fleeting moments. They were building blocks of something much greater. How extraordinary it was to witness this transformation. The laughter of children during art classes, the tears shared in support groups, and the friendships blossoming among strangers. It was a symphony of resilience. Each interaction was a reminder of our shared humanity, of the struggles that united us more than the differences that divided us. The deeper I delved into this work, the more I realized that the challenges we faced were not just personal. They were a reflection of the world around us. Loss, grief, and healing were universal experiences, binding us together in ways we often overlooked. It became clear to me that our community space was not just a refuge, it was a beacon of hope for those navigating their own storms. I wanted to amplify this message, to let others know that healing was possible, that transformation could emerge from even the darkest places. I could see it in Clara's eyes as we shared a moment of silent understanding. This was our mission now, to uplift, empower, and inspire others to embrace their journeys. As the months continued to unfold, I found myself stepping further into a role I never anticipated. I was no longer merely surviving in the aftermath of my husband's passing. I was thriving, fueled by a purpose that transcended my pain. The community had become my family, each individual story intertwining with my own, creating a rich tapestry of shared experiences. I often thought of that young woman and others like her who came seeking solace. What if we could reach even more people? What if our community could grow beyond these walls? The possibilities seemed endless, and with each passing day, I felt emboldened to explore them. In our moments of reflection, Clara and I often discussed our dreams for the space. Imagine if we could offer workshops, invite speakers, maybe even start an outreach program, I suggested one evening. The excitement in my voice was palpable. "Why not?" Clara replied, her enthusiasm matching my own. "We could create something that lasts, something that changes lives." And so we began to dream bigger, envisioning a future where our legacy wasn't just confined to this little corner of the world. I felt invigorated knowing that our journey had only just begun, as we stood together, looking out at the vibrant community we had helped create. I couldn't shake the feeling that our story was evolving in ways we couldn't yet comprehend. What else was possible? I was sorting through old boxes, dust motes dancing in the shafts of sunlight that streamed through the window, when Clara and I stumbled upon it, my husband's favorite chair. The worn fabric held countless memories, stories etched into every frayed seam. As I dusted off the chair, a wave of nostalgia washed over me, bringing with it a bittersweet ache. "Let's keep it in the community space," Clara suggested, her voice warm and inviting. "It would be a nice way to honor his memory and make room for new experiences." I nodded, feeling my heart swell with a mixture of sadness and gratitude. It was more than just a chair. It was a symbol of love, laughter, and the life we had built together. As we placed it in a cozy corner, I felt a sense of closure begin to settle in. "Do you remember the time he tried to fix the squeaky leg?" I asked, a soft chuckle escaping my lips. Clara smiled, her eyes sparkling with the same warmth that filled the room. "Oh, he was so determined. I thought he might just take the whole thing apart in his frustration. Yes. And when he finally got it right, he sat there, beaming like a child who'd just completed a puzzle. The memories flowed freely, and I felt the weight of my grief shift, like clouds parting to reveal a bright sky. We shared story after story, laughter mingling with tears. With each memory, I felt my husband's presence surrounding us, reminding me that he never truly left. He lived on in the love we shared, in the moments we cherished, and in the little stories that shaped our lives. "Sometimes I think about how much he would have loved this place," Clara said, looking around the community space. "He always believed in bringing people together." "Yes, he did," I replied, my voice tinged with emotion. "He had this incredible ability to make everyone feel welcome, like family. I want to carry that forward." As we finished arranging the chair, a comfortable silence enveloped us. I realized that this moment was more than just an act of remembrance. It was a step toward healing. Together we were creating something meaningful, a bridge between the past and the present. "I feel hopeful," I confessed, my heart lighter than it had been in a long time. "It's like I'm finally starting to see the future again." Clara placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "It's okay to feel hope. Your husband would want you to embrace it." I took a deep breath, allowing the warmth of her words to sink in. But a lingering question tugged at my heart. How would we continue to grow from here? As I looked at the chair, I could almost hear my husband's laughter echoing in the air, urging me to take the next step. This wasn't just about holding on to memories. It was about honoring them by living fully, embracing change, and forging new connections. The chair stood in the corner, a testament to our shared past, and I knew that, together with Clara, we would create a future woven with love, resilience, and the spirit of my husband. How do we honor those we've lost while still embracing the journey ahead? I found myself sitting at the old wooden table in our community center, the sun casting warm rays through the windows, illuminating the sketches and art supplies scattered around. Clara and I had ventured into this new chapter together, and it felt surreal to reflect on how much had changed in such a short time. We had turned a once quiet space into a bustling hub of creativity and connection, The laughter of children and the chatter of local artists filled the air, blending harmoniously with the scent of fresh paint and coffee. "Can you imagine?" Clara said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Monthly art exhibitions could bring so much life to the community. We could showcase local talent and donate the proceeds to charity." I couldn't help but smile at her enthusiasm. "It's a beautiful idea, Clara. A perfect way to honor Mike's memory while also helping others." My heart swelled with a mix of joy and sorrow, knowing that every brushstroke, every piece of art created here, would carry a piece of my husband's spirit. As we brainstormed, I realized that our partnership had transformed us both. Clara had become more than just a friend. She was a kindred spirit who understood the weight of loss. I could see the shadows of her own struggles reflected in the passion she poured into our work. We were two women navigating the aftermath of grief, finding solace in shared dreams and ambitions. "Do you think we could also include workshops?" Clara suggested, her voice filled with hope. "Teach the kids about art. Give them a space to express themselves. It could be something special." "Absolutely," I replied, feeling exhilarated by the idea. Art can heal. It's a language that transcends words. The more we talked, the more I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The world outside may have been filled with challenges, but within these walls, we were building something beautiful, something that could outlast our personal grief. I looked around, taking in the vibrant colors and the laughter that echoed off the walls. This was more than just a community center. It was a sanctuary. But as the excitement bubbled within me, a nagging thought crept into my mind. What obstacles lay ahead? I envisioned the hurdles we might face: financial constraints, community skepticism, and the ever-looming threat of change. The fear of failure was a familiar companion, whispering doubts that I tried to push away. "Clara," I began, cautiously, "what if things don't go as planned? What if we struggle to find artists or donations?" She placed her hand over mine, grounding me. "We can't let fear dictate our future. Every obstacle is an opportunity for growth. Remember what we've overcome together. We'll figure it out, just like we always do." Her words resonated with me. Clara was right. We had already faced so much, from the painful moments of eviction threats to the discovery of secrets that had shaken our lives. We had emerged stronger. Our bond had deepened in ways I never imagined possible. We were not just surviving, we were thriving. As we continued to plan, I felt the tension of uncertainty lift, replaced by a sense of unity. "Let's promise to stay open to whatever comes our way," I said, feeling a wave of relief wash over me. "Together we can take on the world." "Together," Clara echoed, her smile reflecting the warmth of our shared commitment. In that moment, I realized how vital it was to embrace the future we were creating. The legacy of love and resilience we were building would be worth every challenge. I felt a spark of hope igniting within me, a reminder that our journey was far from over. In the face of adversity, we had the power to forge a new path, one filled with creativity, compassion, and unwavering support for one another. As we set our plans into motion, I couldn't help but wonder, what other secrets would unfold as we embraced this future? I had always believed that art had a way of healing the soul, but it wasn't until that day at the exhibition that I truly understood its power. Months had passed since I had lost my husband, and the weight of grief had shifted into a new kind of purpose. As I wandered through the gallery, surrounded by vibrant colors and passionate brushstrokes, I felt a warmth wrap around me like an embrace. It was here in this community space we had built together that I found solace. Then, a letter arrived. The handwriting was elegant, each loop and curve reflecting the care with which it was penned. I held it tightly, my heart racing as I unfolded the paper. The words poured out like a river, each sentence heavy with emotion. A participant shared how our support had helped her heal from her own loss, igniting a passion for art she never knew existed. I couldn't help but cry. Tears streamed down my cheeks as I read about her journey, her struggles, her pain, and how she had found a new voice through creativity. I couldn't believe that our little community space had made such a difference in her life. This was no longer just a project. It was a lifeline, a beacon of hope for so many. "Clara," I called, my voice trembling with emotion. She joined me, her brow furrowing in concern. I handed her the letter, watching as her eyes widened with understanding. We stood there, side by side, absorbing the weight of what we had created together. "Look at this, Clara," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "We've done this. We've changed lives." Clara's expression softened as she took in the words, her own eyes glistening with unshed tears. "It's incredible," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I never thought we could make such an impact." In that moment, it struck me how far we had come. We were no longer just two women navigating our individual grief. We had transformed our pain into something beautiful, a force for change that radiated love and healing. I looked around the gallery, at the art displayed like proud soldiers standing tall. Each piece told a story, stories of loss, resilience, and rebirth. What other stories would emerge from our efforts? I pondered this as I took in the vibrant colors and expressive forms that surrounded me. I felt a sense of fulfillment wash over me, like a warm glow spreading from my chest to the tips of my fingers. The laughter of children echoed in the background, mingling with the soft melodies of a local musician strumming his guitar. "Do you think we can keep this going?" I asked Clara, my heart pounding with hope. "What if we expanded our reach? What if we could touch even more lives?" Clara nodded, her expression determined. "Absolutely. We can host workshops, invite more artists, create a space that encourages everyone to express themselves. We have the power to inspire." As the evening wore on, I found myself engaging with participants, listening to their stories and witnessing their transformations. Each interaction felt like a thread weaving us closer together, creating a tapestry of shared experiences. I realized that this was not just about us. It was about building a legacy of love and healing in our community. I had often worried about what would become of me after my husband's passing, wondering if I would fade into obscurity. But here I was, vibrant and alive, surrounded by people who believed in the power of art just as much as I did. "We've created something special. Here," I told Clara as the night began to wind down. "I can feel it in my bones. This is just the beginning. Together we'll keep it alive," she promised, her eyes shining with conviction. As we began to clean up, I thought about the journey that had led us to this moment. The heartache, the battles, the secrets unveiled. And yet, through it all, we had discovered the impact of love, not just for ourselves, but for others. In that realization, I felt a renewed sense of purpose, and I knew, whatever challenges lay ahead, we would face them together, armed with the stories of those we had touched. What other stories would emerge from our little art community? As the year drew to a close, Clara and I found ourselves enveloped in a bittersweet anticipation. We had decided to organize a special event to honor my husband's memory, a way to celebrate the love he had given us and the community he cherished. I remember sitting with Clara, surrounded by stacks of old photographs, our laughter mingling with the soft rustle of the pages. I could feel the warmth of nostalgia wrapping around us, reminding me of the countless moments we had shared with him. "Do you think anyone will come?" Clara asked, her voice tinged with uncertainty. "Of course they will," I replied, my heart swelling with a mix of hope and anxiety. He touched so many lives. We're not just honoring him. We're welcoming everyone to share their stories. The night of the event arrived and the air was thick with anticipation. The community center, usually bustling with activity, was transformed into a warm sanctuary filled with flickering candlelight and the soft glow of fairy lights. As I looked around, I saw familiar faces illuminated in the dim light, each representing a thread in the rich tapestry of my husband's legacy. People began to gather, and I felt a wave of gratitude wash over me. Friends, neighbors, and even some who had drifted away over the years came together, united by a shared love for the man we had lost. It was a beautiful, chaotic blend of laughter and tears, memories spilling forth as if they had been waiting just for this moment. I took a deep breath, my heart racing as I stepped up to the podium. Clara stood beside me, her presence bolstering my courage. "Thank you all for being here tonight," I began, my voice trembling slightly. "This gathering is a testament to my husband's life and the love he spread throughout our community." As I spoke, I shared stories that painted a vivid picture of his kindness and spirit. I recounted the time he had organized a community cleanup, rallying neighbors to beautify our local park. He believed in the power of community, in the strength that comes from working together, I said, my voice thick with emotion. And tonight, we honor that spirit. Clara took her turn, sharing her own memories, her voice steady and clear. "We've all been touched by his wisdom and love. He taught us resilience, the importance of standing together in difficult times. His legacy lives on through each of us." As the evening unfolded, others began to step forward, sharing their stories, their laughter mingling with tears. I listened intently, soaking in the collective healing that was happening before my eyes. Each tribute was a reminder of the impact my husband had on so many lives, and I felt a sense of pride swell within me. Gradually, the atmosphere shifted from somber reflection to joyful celebration. We shared anecdotes that turned into laughter, each story more vibrant than the last. I watched as faces lit up with recognition, as old friends reconnected and new bonds were formed. The event felt like a reunion of sorts, a reconnection not just with memories, but with each other. As I looked around at the faces illuminated by candlelight, I realized we had created something beautiful together. This night was not just about honoring my husband's legacy. It was about forging a new one built on love, resilience, and community. I felt a profound sense of hope for the future, a whisper of possibility echoing in my heart. "Shall we do this again next year?" Clara asked, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Absolutely," I replied, a smile breaking across my face. "We'll continue to honor him, to share our stories, and to keep this community alive." This moment solidified our bond, a reminder that even in loss, love can flourish. As the night began to wind down, I felt a warmth spreading through me, a sense of purpose that I knew would guide me in the years to come. How would we continue to build upon this legacy? I wondered, as I held Clara's hand tightly, knowing that together we could face whatever challenges lay ahead. As I sat across from Clara at our worn kitchen table, the weight of the past year hung in the air, thick with memories and lessons learned. The new year was upon us, a blank canvas waiting to be filled with hopes and dreams. I couldn't help but smile as we shared a moment of reflection, tracing the contours of our journey together. "Can you believe how far we've come?" I asked, my voice filled with awe. Clara leaned back in her chair, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "It feels like just yesterday we were struggling to keep the community space afloat. Now we're a hub for creativity and healing." Her words ignited a fire within me. I thought about the faces we had seen, the stories we had shared, each interaction a thread woven into the tapestry of our lives. "What do you think we should aim for this year?" I asked, eager to hear her vision. Clara's expression shifted, a determined light dawning in her eyes. "I'd love to create a mentorship program for aspiring artists. Imagine the impact we could have on young talent. We can guide them, help them find their voice." I felt a swell of excitement. "A mentorship program? That's brilliant. Absolutely. We could host workshops, invite local artists to share their journeys. It could be a safe space for them to explore their creativity," I added, my mind racing with possibilities. As Clara and I began to brainstorm, I realized how much our dreams intertwined. Each idea sparked another, and soon we were lost in a whirlwind of inspiration. What if we also organized community art shows? It would bring everyone together and celebrate the talent right here in our neighborhood, Clara suggested, her enthusiasm infectious. "Yes, and we could collaborate with local schools, get the kids involved in the art process. It would foster a sense of belonging," I replied, my heart racing at the thought. In those moments, as we mapped out our plans, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I had been so consumed by the shadows of my past, the eviction threat, the loss of my husband. But now I was stepping into the light. Our journey had transformed not only our lives, but also the lives of those around us. The challenges we faced had forged a bond between Clara and me, one built on resilience and hope. We were not just two women navigating the aftermath of loss. We were allies on a mission to uplift our community. I paused, looking out the window at the world beyond. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the neighborhood, and I felt a surge of gratitude. "Clara, I can't help but think about the surprises that await us this year. It feels like we're on the brink of something beautiful." She nodded, her expression thoughtful. "Every new beginning comes with its own challenges, but I believe we're ready to face them head-on. We've already overcome so much together." I smiled, feeling the weight of her words settling in my heart. There was something powerful about our shared journey, a legacy that would ripple through the lives we touched. As we continued to talk and plan, I realized that this wasn't just about us. It was about creating a space where others could find healing too. With each idea, I felt a little more whole, a little more alive. I was no longer defined by my past, but by the possibilities that lay ahead. And as we stepped into this new chapter, I couldn't help but wonder, what stories would unfold next? Up next, we have 2 more incredible stories that are waiting for you. Just click the image you want to watch, and it will take you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. It would mean a lot.